Hi, everyone. Welcome to Business is Politics. I'm Joseph Lavoie, and I've been coming across obviously a lot of analyses coming out of the US presidential election campaign with many Democrats trying to figure out what went wrong in last week's loss to Donald Trump. And I've come across several pundits who are using these results as proof positive that the ground game in modern elections no longer matters. And the take goes something along these lines. Harris relied on old technology. That's the technology of knocking on doors. And in some battleground states, they estimate she was out knocking the Trump campaign 10 households to one. And yet, that wasn't enough. In other words, the take goes, or the plea goes, stop wasting so much money on old technology, because if Trump can win without it, surely the Democrats can. I say that's frankly absolute BS, because here's what the ground game cannot do for any campaign. It cannot mobilize the vote if you are running on the wrong issues. And the Harris campaign simply did not get the ballot question right. We talked about this in the last episode, the importance of getting the ballot question right. Well, when you get it wrong, then it doesn't matter how sophisticated your campaign is, it's going to fail to mobilize the right people. We saw this play out on reproductive rights in this campaign. She made this her issue, and then voters responded. They agreed with her on that issue, and yet they voted for Trump. And so, in some weird twist of events, abortion was a winning issue. It just wasn't a winning issue for Harris. And abortion rights ballot measures succeeded in 7 of 10 states that they were proposed in. And millions of people voted for abortion rights and also voted for Donald Trump. And so that is what happens when you fail to get the ballot question correct. She had tried to attach this issue to herself and make that the ballot question, to which voters responded with, well, I agree with you on the issue, but that's not the ballot question. And what we got was the result that we got. Also, the Trump campaign did invest in GOTV and get out the vote efforts. It just did so differently than the Harris campaign, outsourcing most of its GOTV to supportive organizations. And I think there is a big lesson there for campaigners, which is this: in a polarized world, are surrogates better placed to mobilize for you? Do they carry much more credibility and higher ability to mobilize on your behalf? I don't know what the answer is to that just right now, because one thing I do know in my own campaign experience is even when you have two people with strikingly opposing views, the one place where they can actually have a conversation and the one fora within which people have an ability to have their minds changed and persuaded is offline, and it's in person. It just so happens that that's not what this campaign was about. It was not so much about changing minds. It was about creating energy and figuring out what that right ballot question was and mobilizing the right people around it. No matter who you outsource to or how many doors you knock on, if you don't understand the ballot question, people won't mobilize for you. And so, what's the takeaway for business and those of us who are in the public affairs campaigns worlds? I think we should be careful not to read too much into how the different campaigns invested in mobilization efforts and GOTV efforts and the results that came out of it. There's obviously a lot that goes into campaigns. I was once on a campaign that was 5 or 6 years ahead of its time in its digital capabilities. We ran what was then the most sophisticated digital campaign, I would say, in Canada. We lost that campaign. Does that mean a campaign shouldn't have a really sophisticated digital game? Of course not. Well, I think the same is true on GOTV. There are times when it will absolutely be the difference maker in a win or a loss. And there are other times where, in a factor like this, if the message and the appeal of a candidate is so strong that your ground game can't make up that difference, well, that's just the nature of campaigns sometimes. There are different factors that decide who the winners and losers are. All that to say, if you are in business and your business is in the business of politics and you're having to engage people either in a public policy process or in a public affairs context, getting out the vote is still single-handedly one of the most important things you can do to demonstrate that you've got the support of the public on your side.